Here's the story you probably got in school. A long time ago, some people walked across a bridge from Asia to America and, ta-da, that's everybody. That is so wrong, it's almost impressive. There was no bridge. Nobody was just passing through. And the people who figured this out have spent the last 90 years absolutely at each other's throats about it. Welcome to America, about 20,000 years before it was called that. Let's kill the bridge thing first. During the last ice age, so much of the planet's water was locked up in glaciers that sea levels dropped by around 120 meters, nearly 400 feet. When the ocean between Siberia and Alaska drained away, it didn't reveal a bridge, it revealed a continent. We call it Beringia, and it was up to 1,000 kilometers wide from north to south. Not a crossing, a homeland. A cold, dry, grassy steppe crawling with animals. And for thousands of years, people lived there. They didn't sprint across it clutching a map to New Mexico. Generations were born, grew old, and died on land that is now at the bottom of the sea. Genetics backs this up. There's a theory called the Beringian standstill. The ancestors of Native Americans split off from other Asian populations and then got genetically stuck, isolated in Beringia for possibly a couple thousand years, marinating into a distinct people before the ice finally let them move south. So nobody crossed a bridge. A whole population came of age in a place that no longer exists. Now, when did they finally come south? Buckle up, because this is where archaeologists start throwing chairs. For most of the 20th century, the answer was locked down. In the 1920s and 30s, near Clovis, New Mexico, diggers found gorgeous, fluted stone spear points buried alongside mammoth bones. These Clovis points turned up all over North America, dated to about 13,000 years ago. And the field decided, this is it. This is first contact. The Clovis people were the original Americans, and anyone who claimed otherwise was a crank. This idea got a name, Clovis first. And for about 50 years, suggesting there was anything before Clovis was a great way to end your career. The problem? The evidence kept refusing to cooperate. So nobody crossed a bridge.
There is nothing before Clovis. There has never been anything before Clovis. Next question.
A whole population came of age in a place that no longer exists. Down in southern Chile, a site called Monte Verde had wood, tools, even a chunk of preserved mastodon meat, dated to about 14,500 years ago. That's over 1,000 years before Clovis, and it's at the far end of two continents. For people to reach the bottom of Chile that early, they had to have entered the Americas way earlier than the textbook allowed. Clovis first defenders fought it for years. Then they ran out of runway. By the late 1990s, even the skeptics visited Monte Verde in person and admitted, grudgingly through gritted teeth, that it was real. And then it got so much worse for them.
Fine, it's real. Nobody print that I cried.
At White Sands, New Mexico, researchers found fossilized human footprints. A mom carrying a toddler, kids messing around, someone walking beside a giant ground sloth. They dated the seeds pressed into those prints, and the number came back, 21 to 23,000 years ago. That's not a little early. That's during the absolute peak of the Ice Age, a time when the textbook said the routes south were slammed shut. People double-checked those dates using two totally separate methods, and the footprints held up. There were kids playing in New Mexico roughly 10,000 years before the first Americans supposedly showed up. So if the inland route was buried under ice during those early millennia, how did anyone get past it? The old model was the ice-free corridor, a gap that opened between two giant ice sheets, letting people walk down through Canada. Nice theory. One catch. When scientists checked, that corridor didn't become livable. No plants, no animals, nothing to eat along the way, until around 13,000 years ago. Too late to explain the people already living in Chile and New Mexico. So the leading idea now flips the whole picture, the kelp highway. Instead of trekking through the frozen interior, people likely paddled and hugged the Pacific coastline in boats, hopping down the shore. The coast had kelp forests, fish, seals, seabirds, a moving buffet the whole way down. Boats don't fossilize, and most of those ancient beaches are now underwater, which is exactly why this took so long to figure out. The honest answer is, it probably wasn't one route or one wave. It was people, resourceful, adaptable people, finding more than one way in over thousands of years. And what a place to arrive. Ice Age America was a zoo, the kind that would eat you. Woolly mammoths and mastodons, giant ground sloths the size of a car, saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, yes, real ones, the short-faced bear, which stood taller than a basketball hoop, and the giant beaver. A beaver the size of a black bear. Here's a detail people love. Horses evolved in North America. They spread across to Asia over Beringia, and then, right around this time, they went extinct here, along with almost all the other giants. Horses wouldn't set hoof in the Americas again until the Spanish brought them back thousands of years later, returning a native species to a continent that had forgotten it. Why did the megafauna vanish? That's another fight. Some blame a rapidly warming climate. Some blame human hunters. Most researchers now think it was both. A changing world plus a brand new spear-carrying predator was more than these animals could survive. However they came, they didn't stay a handful of wanderers. Over the following millennia, they spread into every corner of 2 continents, deserts, rainforests, mountains, the Arctic, and split into hundreds of nations speaking hundreds of languages. They were here for something like 20,000 years before a single European had any clue this place existed. That's the part school skips. American history doesn't start with a ship in 1492. It starts with a footprint in the mud 20,000 years ago, and a toddler who had no idea they were walking into the history books. Next time, the cities you were never told about.